好多的项目。
金大熊，他家还有那个脑袋熊。
他们昨天在南投。
The gilding takes the longest, you know, to build all its gold. About 2 months. It's dressing the gold and creating a cascade to go down. That takes about a month.
I think the only place they can put this is somewhere inside this office.
Yeah, the building, yeah. Or like this. It's just very minimal. Done with 100-year-old.
在喷什么东西啊？喷金吗？
17th century.
那为什么有些地方有金箔是掉下来？这边是贴嘛，贴金箔，这边就没有。
Close impossible to do. In Japan, I have these. Yeah, it's the same gallery. But I have shown these in Japan.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome. We're very honored. Especially want to thank Jesse and Patty, Jade12 新美齐，他们这次为了我们把这些的，就是展览的空间预备，让谭春生老师这次可以来做这次的新作品。那这次叫做《Song of Songs》的作品，然后很感谢你们每个人，这么大的雨都来到这边呀。然后我们从这幅画开始呀。We'll just start from this.
Okay. Yeah. No. Thank you, Jenny, and thank you so much for hosting us in this brand new, amazing building, J12. And when I came up here, I just felt like I had deep connection with this building and the hills surrounding it. And I grew up partly. I was born in U.S., but then I went to Sweden for a year and a half. And then I spent a lot of time in Kamakura, Japan, which is a beautiful historic city and by the ocean, surrounded by mountains. And this hill, Elephant Hill, reminds me of Kamakura. So I felt very honored to be here. The title of this exhibit is Song of Songs, and if you are familiar with that title, you get a point. But it is one of the most interesting texts, ancient texts that remain to us, and it is in the Bible. It is in the Old Testament, but a lot of people don't know about it, even though in the past, before the Renaissance, it was the most talked about part of the Bible aside from Genesis or the Psalms. So many writings remain about Song of Songs, and it is deemed controversial because it is Song of Songs is a book about love, and it is erotic. It is very explicit. So surprise, you can go home and actually read something in the Bible that is controversial and that is sexy. But the way that these commentators talk about this book is very, very interesting. They don't take it as just eros or sexuality. They tie it into this idea of intimacy with God, idea of intimacy with the Creator, the Maker. And so the desert fathers who will go into the mountains to pray will take Song of Songs as the prime text for them to pray through. It has passages like, "Let him kiss me with a kiss of his mouth," which is a bridegroom really communicating. The setting is that this couple is, speaking of love to each other, but then the mystics like Saint Teresa of Avila in the Middle Ages will take that and create this beautiful essay about contemplative practice of how we are all wooed by this God to be in this romantic relationship with the Creator, and how that is more fulfilling in some ways than what human love can bring to us. And so the text fascinates me as a kind of a beginning jumping off point. And I was reading this book written by Carlo Rovelli. He is a physicist, Italian physicist, who wrote a wonderful book about physics. And it's I think it's called Seven Brief Essences of Physics, or something like that. And it's a little book. It's not thick. It's readable. He wrote it for just anybody to understand, quantum mechanics, and it's fascinating. And one of the things he says, he talks about time, as something that we don't fully understand, right? And in the world of physics, he says, we don't understand the world as made by stones or things, like rocks. Most of us think of information or reality as something solid, right? Something you can stand on. But physicists tell us that that is not really the essence of time. He says, we understand the world made by kisses. Well, things like kisses, happenings. I love that. So even in contemporary physics, people are saying that what happens to us experientially, things like kisses, can radically inform or maybe bring us into a place of understanding deeper about ourselves, nature, reality, perhaps even in a way frame the discussion or questions that we might ask ourselves about the future. And so here I am using gold. I was trained in Nihonga technique, which is Japanese style paintings that harkens back to 8th century, but it was refined in 16th and 17th centuries. And there's a lineage that go straight to today, Tokyo University of Fine Arts, where there are lineage of masters that students have apprenticed under. And I was very privileged as an outsider, as an American, to have received Japanese governmental scholarship to study and invited into the lineage program. And so at the end of my 6.5 years, I was privileged to study under Professor Matazo Kayama, arguably one of the greatest masters of Nihonga, and certainly in 20th century, there's no rival to Kayama Sensei. And he was someone that used a lot of gold and metallics, and he was very well known for it. And at the time he started to use this post-war Japan, it was a very radical thing to do, because Japan had gone through incredible despair, and things were very dark, and there were a lot of dark paintings that people painted. And all of a sudden, Kayama Sensei began to use gold and colors like azurite, blue, malachite, green, oyster shell, white, and began to paint this extraordinarily bright, decorative paintings that harken back to 17th century Rimba paintings of the past. And people are like, oh, you can't do that because we don't feel happy, or we don't feel like we're recovered. And he said, well, that's exactly why. I'm painting this way. Bringing back the tradition of Japan, the decorative tradition. He grew up in a family of kimono designers in Kyoto, so he understood the power of design and bringing these materials back to the post-war despair of Tokyo was a very significant statement. After Japan, went back to New York, and I became a downtown Manhattan resident, lived way downtown by World Trade Centers. So on 9/11, I became a Ground Zero resident. My children grew up as Ground Zero kids. And so I experienced trauma very directly, and part of my journey and things that you see even in this exhibit reflects that. Just like Kayama-sensei even intentionally place beauty back into the context of darkness, I felt I was called to do the same. That in the brokenness and the trauma filled post 9/11 reality, I wanted to intentionally use materials that are extravagant and beautiful to fight back against that trauma and despair that I felt. So many of my paintings use expensive materials like gold, silver, and malachite and minerals, but they're really intentionally used to speak about hope and bringing light. Gold has always been a symbol in all cultures of the divine and the blessing of God into our reality. In biblical sense, it is the city of God, which is pure gold. So you can imagine a liquid gold building. That's what New Jerusalem looks like. And so by using gold and then distressing it like this, creating a cascade of gold, and then you can see in these photographs by my assistant, Alison LaCroix, who's a photographer. She did a wonderful job of capturing me in the process of capturing the cascade of gold going into other paintings. And then they become the offspring. So this is the mother, and they become children of this gold, river of gold, stream of gold streaming through life and into creating more pieces. So I use the title Song of Songs as a jumping off point, and I find myself really just starting on this journey to understand not only this text, but what Saint Teresa is talking about. Why is this more than just a kiss that we will experience in life? Why is this significant for our souls? She wrote a collection of her letters to young sisters in her convent. It's called the Interior Castle. And she talks about how there's this resplendent castle inside of our hearts, inside of our souls. And the only way to get to that castle is by going through some trials, and then praying through them. And she says there are many mansions inside that castle. And it is a place of abundance. It is a place of extravagant beauty that all of us have the capacity to tap into. But because the world gets in the way of us being able to slow down enough to experience that fully, we miss it. And many people are unable to tap into that. So I count myself as one of those people who failed to tap into my interior castle, so I want to use art as an excuse to perhaps think about that more. And when I work with galleries and spaces like this, one of the things that I try to do is that I see my work and the process of my work as prayer. That this will be a way for me to hopefully bring healing to the space that I show in, whether it be Ground Zero New York, or tsunami devastated Japan, or just recently Columbine High School in America, where they had that deadliest shooting 20 years ago, and I began to paint images of Columbine flowers, and wasn't really thinking that 20 years later I will be asked to present at the high school for the commemoration, because I had written about Columbines, the flower Columbines, and the silver that I used 20 years ago in one of the smaller paintings that was in storage, but I discovered it and I unwrapped it. The silver had tarnished over 20 years, and you see some silver paintings upstairs. When we end up on this, what is it, 12th floor is that? 12th floor? You see two paintings that are silver, and you see it, one of the paintings tarnishing a little bit. So that's a very important part of, I think, my work. When I presented the painting to Columbine High School, the title of the painting is called Columbine Silver, but the years that is attributed is 1999 to 2019. So it took 20 years to finish this painting. And it speaks about our journey. And so whether it be Columbine High School or New York, I'm trying to reach the path, create a map for interior castles. So we'll go upstairs. Are we going to the 5th floor? Okay. And I'll talk some more, and then we end up in 12th floor where we have more. We have drinks, right? Okay. So that's our goal. Thank you. Feel free to. Are there any questions that I can address now before we go up? Anything that you would like me to talk about? Please feel free to ask me anytime. Okay. So let's go up and we'll spend some more time. Thank you. I wish he was. I designed everything. I chef to.
You design this?
Yeah, please.
Oh, it's fun. I thought that this is for demonstration. This is food. Food.
Yeah,
I think that's. They told me this. I know what this is.
No, this is oyster.
Scallop. I think it's scallop.
It says oyster.
Try.
Okay.
I like that. Looks like you're painting.
And I went with it, and all of these paintings have that now.
Oh wow.
Because I was like, that's the signature for the series.
Right.
It's so,
And then you made that one in the Pasadena. So Voice of the Beloved.
that voice that I was from Pasadena.
And same series. Why the sudden shift of the color?
Well, because I wanted to try a whole bunch of different angles. And, you know, the voice of the beloved is different from the voice of the beloved.
Right. Yeah.
So that's part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What stone is that?
That is malachite.
That's
malachite. Mixture of malachite and space age materials that they have now.
Okay. Oh, so that's the newer materials that you incorporate.
Yeah. And so are these. The red vermilion, Japanese vermilion, it doesn't do well in the light. So I've been using modified. I still use minerals, but
modification to brighten it.
Yeah, make sure it's light fast. You know,
I love that you're experimenting. You're not afraid to try.
Yeah, no, you have to. You have to always push the material.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my intuitive language. You know, if I don't do that, then it becomes too formulaic. Yeah. I'm doing good.
Doing good?
I tasted some of those.
Oh yeah, we did. We have a tasting party.
Oh my gosh.
Which one did you have?
I had the funky salmon piece and the
Oh yeah, I know.
Claire described it as a mysterious woman.
Yeah, she did. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It was
the white one?
I have.
The white one is the best. We think the white one's the best.
What's the white one?
It's white chocolate, if you're okay. White chocolate with a tiramisu filling.
This too, but it's even clearer downstairs. Cascading. What happened was there's this blob that began to form as I was cascading, and it just landed. That's the kiss.
Oh wow.
And you know, usually I would like push it, you know, like create some movement. And I was like, no, that's how this painting is. That's it, right? I mean, it's just like, you know,
It's there.
and that becomes the center of all the things, all the movement. So I kind of, as I realized that, I decided, okay, so how do I keep that and then use the cascade from the other side flow into this. So I think I started on this side, I used a little bit like hot water to like push it. You know, when you use hot water, it disperses
Yes.
more.
Okay.
So I began to disperse it, and then I gave this kind of a cosmic, you know,
Feel to it. Yeah.
So I, you know, while I'm doing, while the painting is like cascading, I'm trying to think, and it's like, okay, so this piece is beginning to shape this way, it's like wings, so I want that, and then the other pieces, you know, I
More modern types of medium.
So you see some of that here, because red is not like that, so it's really strong. So I've been using some new reds to
Dots, like they're like in and out, so they're like not exactly, you know, it's like in and out. I really like
So they're
that.
done when you first putting the saturating the canvas, and heavier materials, metallics, will stay anchored. So you drip that first and create these patterns. It's like the movement, and so that gets everything going. You imagine drips, white canvas, and sound. I've got sound recorders with microphone underneath it.
Yeah, I remember.
because it's really, it is like music. It's like, this is like,
It's music, yeah.
How do you improvise when you walk? Like,
Oh, yeah,
trips?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah,
how do you
yeah, yeah.
decide? Like,
yeah, no, it's just
gonna be like,
He gets caught up in trances.
yeah, it is like translate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And yeah, so
How many layers would you say this one?
this one has like maybe 20 to just get it settled, and then it's ready for more.
So good to see you!
I didn't get it.
It's not. It's a lot of. It's not good.
Oh my gosh, I know.
It's not doing it just for you.
Recently came out with more
Meaning you mean the concept.
I happen to create and this became like a wing, you know, so that was the second focus, right? I wanted to create one and I wanted to unite the two, so I kept on spraying. Meanwhile, I had to think about the mother of the baby.
Yeah, so this is
And moving this in a certain location.
is this called Genesis?
Yeah, because it's totally, it's improvised Genesis. Like, not only, you know, I believe that every moment is a Genesis. God allows us to improvise. So I, you know, like, literally intentional that it can create new moments. Yeah, in that sense, it's part of your creation.
I stopped my curiosity. You talk about feeling the soul with the bouquet. Like a wine. Okay, so how do you feel your stomach and the soul at the same time?
How do you feel? Think at the same time?
Because you said
Feed my soul.
and you don't think about, you don't worry too much about tomorrow and the day after tomorrow.
That's Matthew 6.
Yeah, if you survive today, then you have a new start for tomorrow. That was my philosophy during those Silk Road expeditions.
If you have any questions, in the meantime, please feel to ask. All the questions that people have asked were very interesting. This is the diptych that is the daughter piece of the one downstairs, the mother piece, the big piece. And so you can actually see this in the photograph that Allison took. The process of going from one piece to another is really, I think, interesting. You see this kind of a pattern, very typical in Song of Songs series, and that is very much intentional. I call that the kiss. So this right here, the kiss. And everything else, it's like jazz improvisation. You make a mark and then you respond to that. So now you have to remember that the painting that I'm distressing is at the same time. So it's this balancing act of trying to figure out what I'm doing to the original painting, the mother painting, and then that cascade is going to do to this one. So I'm constantly moving the pieces to make sure it works. I don't remember exactly how I did all the works. Glad Addison has it captured. And I did the screen piece in Pasadena, in my other studio in Pasadena. So it's the same process, but obviously different color. Somebody asked me, so what's the difference between red and green? The red is very much color of love. So when I thought about initially Song of Songs, I thought about this color. But there are different voices in the Song of Songs. There's the voice of the beloved. There's the voice of the woman. There's the voice, kind of a narrator's voice. And I felt like the voice of the beloved was that color. So I am interpreting here. So that's the process. When we go up to the 12th floor, there's some really interesting silver paintings in the back. So please take a look at that before we start the mini concert that Daniel Chu is going to provide for us, and I will speak some more. So, any questions that I can address?
好，谢谢。
谢谢。好，前面这一位。
换手准备一下哈。
Here. And there's some seats available, so please take advantage of that. I want to introduce you to Daniel Chu, remarkable pianist. And when some people, when they play, I see color. And Daniel is one of those people, and I think you will as well. But it's not just color that I see the refractive, prismaticness of your sound. And even though we're not using a grand piano, I think it will come through. So I want to start by reading Song of Songs to you. And this is the beginning of Song of Song. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. Your anointing oils are fragrant. Your name is oil poured out. Therefore virgins love you. Throw me after you, let us run. The king has brought me into his chambers. We will exalt and rejoice in you. We will exalt your love more than wine. Rightly do they love you. Please welcome Daniel Chu.
好，我们坐这边。
Hi guys, according to Marco, this is like a mini concert, so I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you guys, and I'd love to thank Carl and Jenny for inviting me here, just to be here in this beautiful occasion of mine. So, I am going to perform 2 songs for y'all, and the first one, everybody knows, it's True Colors, right? You guys know True Colors? Know the true colors shining through, yeah? Everybody knows that song? And the second song that I'm gonna play is I Can't Help Falling in Love with You. I just think it's a very special song, especially on this exhibition. The name of the exhibition of Song of Songs, right? So I hope you guys enjoy it. So here's True Colors and I Can't Help Falling in Love with You. Circle of life then.
Circle of life. Wow.
I don't know if I can speak after that. Thank you so much. Such a magnificent. You know, when the gold cascades, like the one on downstairs, that's very similar to how that sounds. And when Saint Teresa of Avila talks about the interior castle that is in all of us, I think there's music that accompanies what's going on inside, right? And I've been to Taipei now, I think 6 or 7 times in the last 3 years or so, 4 years. And I am a total outsider, so I think I can be a little bit more objective. But I think Taipei is an amazing city. I think it is a unique city. I think this building has a unique quality that is not common in a lot of cities. I don't think you find a building like this, for example, in Tokyo, or in New York, or in Shanghai, or in Beijing. It's surrounded by these hills and these mountains, elephant back hiking trail, I guess it's called. But it is very unique and profound to me that this is an integrated city that is hospitable and humble. And to me, part of what I envision when I envision a city that captures this sense of the soul that I was talking about downstairs. I think this building captures it. I wonder if I can introduce Jesse to you. He is looking at his wine over there. But, hey, Jesse. Can I just introduce you? I know, he's too concerned about the wine. But Jesse, I think we were talking earlier about this building and the uniqueness of it.
Because everything is very rigid, very hard. So we need artists to bring us good things and joyful things in life, like in music and then like in paintings and art. That's how the world is actually so interesting, right? We have different people from different worlds to collaborate and achieve something together. And I think that is very rare. And then that is actually our main principle when building this building, because it's actually all a quite coincidence of how this event happened. It was one day, Mr. Chen, right, Carl, was hiking on Waterfall Mountain, and then that's how we became friends and how we met. And then afterwards, right, because the tune of both of us are so similar that we quickly just become good acquaintances. And then because as a coincidence, right, this whole art gallery that we're showcasing today is called Song of Songs. But then our building is actually, we used to call it our old respect to nature, right? So that's why the building is green, right? And then how it's shaped like a grand piano if you look at it from the top, like so it's just like how everything just coincidentally put together so well, and then like so I'm grateful, for everything that's, happened to us and what brought us here today. And I just wish that everyone will have a great time, because this can't happen without, like everyone's support and everyone's hard work and everyone's motivation behind what we do every day.
So I don't know if you caught that. So this building is shaped like a grand piano. And these are the keys, right? We're literally inside music. I mean, that's just so fantastic. I was just so, when he told me that, I was so moved by it. And the challenge of it, right, in a new construction like this is to how to bring the humanness or the soul into a structure that is supposed to be modern and impressive, and but you kept it very intimate. And what made you do that? Because that's an intentional choice.
Yeah. because you know, from where I grew up, right, family is always first, you know, in our family. You know, we do whatever it takes or whatever that our family needs, we just do for each other. So the type of intimacy is something that I really enjoy, right? Because a lot of people, you know, maybe they're not fond of their parents, you know, or they're not close with their siblings, but to us, you know, we're just like a whole big unique group. You know, that's why we're so used to just, you know, hanging out just like a actual family. You know, so when we're actually designing this place, you know, the original plan is actually we just all live in this building together, right? But then you know, like some other members maybe they want out, or you know they have other plans. You know, but then the whole thing was originally thought of like, you know, like a home, like a really homey place. Right? But then it also has to have a lot of like building amenities along with it. Right? Like one cool thing is like, you know, the how much respect we pay to nature. You know, when we build this building. Like the building lights that we use is 2700 K for the lighting degree. So actually, when insects see the lights, they will actually be very repelled against it, and then they'll fly away. So they don't actually attack the light and then do the suicidal moves, right? So it actually just warns them, like, you know, don't come close, don't come close. So it's actually a lot of thoughts, right? And then the color of the building, right? All the architectural aspects. We try to just make this thing blend in with the mountain, right? So then it's actually unique in its own ways as well.
And when we were here earlier, the rain started to fall and the mountains kind of disappeared. All of a sudden there was a curtain, and then it stopped, and then the sun came out, and the hills came alive, and that last song, Lion King, was kind of very appropriate, because it felt like, you know, when the land is restored to the rightful owner, everything comes alive. So I am so grateful for this evening, because part of my role as an artist is to bring part of that human soul back into space. And it really helps to have a poetic space to showcase my art. And thanks to Ginny and Carl's efforts, we found a great overlap here. But I think, you know, in some ways, I think the future of the city, as we think about it, when you look at Tokyo's, you know, post-war construction, New York building some of the most interesting experiments in the High Lines and you know, a few of the new projects, and there's an integration of nature and the city, and I think the future of the new city that we're talking about, in fact, what Song of Songs sings about. You know, it's part of the story is that there's always been a song being sang over us in our lives, in our families' lives, and the building should reflect that. and that is the beginning of the restoration of the soul, perhaps even restoration of the family. I don't know, but thank you so much. And this you're showcasing this so that other people can be part of this building, right? So please talk to him if you're interested. But thank you so much for this evening, allowing us to invade your living room. And I took a look upstairs. There's some really charming things going up there. My goodness, the children's room is amazing. So just thank you so much, and thank you all for this evening. We have some wonderful food that's prepared, and the wine. Do you want to tell us about the wine that you selected, or? It's okay. Okay, so it's good wine. So it's the full taste of the banquet to come. So please enjoy yourself. Thank you so much.
say the reason why I had the courage， 为什么我会有勇气开始这一美学空间，就是因为Rita 易淑凡女士，然后我们那个时候，我觉得 OK， 我觉得刚才以前也谈到 Jerry 你介绍很好，然后那个 Makoto 当然介绍很好，可是我要恭喜 Jenny， 既然7年了，然后我觉得今天我们聚在这里是要恭喜 Jenny 的 ，right？ 然后我刚才跟他讲的是我心中的话，就是我们搞艺术人搞了这么久，可是 Jenny 很成功的把艺术融在我们生活里。I mean, look at us today: music, food, wine, and spirituality. So 我觉得 in this day and age, where we're always talking about the market and prices and the hype and speculation, Jenny has brought art back where it needs to be. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I really want to thank Rita because 我们we started out as collectors. You know, 我们开始是收藏家，然后后来就是身边有好几个朋友就说哇，我们也喜欢他的艺术，你可不可以帮我们也来定啊，或者是 so we kind of 就是这样子介绍朋友，然后后来就说要不要成为他的亚洲区的经纪人，所以我们就立刻就跟 Rita 就说哦，请他吃饭，然后就是说其实我觉得我印象最深刻的就是说用心，就是你鼓励我的时候，因为你知道我也不懂 market，I don't understand the market, I probably never will, but 就是用心。So we kind of started that way. I mean, it was really kind of based on that. Yeah, and so that was a huge encouragement for us. And then 我们后来台北这个大安森林公园那边那个空间出来的时候，我也是说 Let me call Auntie Rita, let me call Rita. 也是后来是Auntie Rita 介绍徐伟斌老师，让我们这个空间的规划。And so it's been 7 years. So, anyways, yeah, just thank you. Thank you. 谢谢大家。然后今天的花 I really want to mention the flowers. Patty and Gloria. Patty and Gloria. Yeah, that's Gloria over there. 我们全部这些花艺是 Gloria 跟 Patty， 就是 Jessie 的太太，他们提供的花艺跟所有的食物，你看到他们很精心的做这些的点心，下面的甜点是一个公司叫 2 months per year， 然后这边也是 Patty Gloria 自己亲自把它策划出来的，所以请大家享用，然后要很高兴大家，然后呢 Makoto 桑的画也在里面有几张，也欢迎你们去欣赏。Thank you， 谢谢大家。
流してそれをつかむっていうかそれを捉えてるんですけど、私下の方もご覧になってみてください。大きいなかなかの作品なので、そこからこれが日本画のね材料で、私加山又蔵先生先生の時に原画にいたので。そうこういうのが多いですね。小さい作品は花を描いたりしてるんですけど、現代美術の中でという。
We were like, nobody can touch it except for you.
This is all Russia. It's Russia.
Okay, it's perfect.
You like cheese? Yeah. This cheese, I think, Alpino. Not like pate.
我们安排开幕选手来比赛。
啊。
流れるように作って、
スプレーとかね。
それを下に置いたキャンバスに出す。だからこれが、
じゃあこういうふうに。
そうそうそう、これは金を貼るとこの大きさだからオーバーラップがこうなって
自然にこうなっちゃうんだ。
自然に。
自然にこうなりますよね。あ、そう。いやいや珍しいですね。
そうこれは本当珍しくてこんなことする人はあんまりいないから、僕だけが一緒に。流すっていうのはね、金もったいないから、そのまま。これは画家です。
同じだ、そう。
それがシリーズで。
このシリーズね。
これでずっとこの下にあるのもずっと同じような。母と子供っていう感じ。
これはやっぱり壁
そうそう、キャンバスです。これが12階にあるやつですね。これが5階にあるやつ。
何5階？
このジェッテックが5階に置いてある作品。
どれ？
この2つが。
あ、そうか。さっき見てた。珍しいよね。
あんまりこういうことする人いない。ちょっと邪道です。You can see everything. It was raining, but you can still feel the mountains.
Okay.
我是专门扮演烂人的。
Kings and queens, princes and princesses， 亲爱的亲朋好友，爸爸妈妈，谢谢你们来，还有我们 Uncle Frank 也来了。Yeah, we just want to welcome everyone to 我们正义美学空间7周年的这个欢庆。然后呢，我们今天有这么美好的空间，有这么漂亮的花，有这么好的美食，我们要特别谢谢 Jessie， 还有 Patty， 还有 Gloria 他们的团队，大家掌声鼓励今天。真的很荣幸，我们可以也很荣幸这个有 Daniel 也在我们的当中也要 我先请大家可不可以欢迎坐过来这边，因为我们会有一个小小的音乐会，有个很特别、很有恩高的这个音乐节目，所以这边有沙发椅的位置。妈妈、爸爸可以坐这边。So anyways， 这7年真的是充满恩典。我们认识 Makoto 是因为我们有一个牧师叫做 Jade12 介绍我们认识，然后后来因为他每一年都会住我们家，每一年都会说，哎，你认不认识 Makoto 桑？我说不认识，问了2次、3次。终于，他就请 Makoto 来到台湾我们的家，然后我们就接待他，然后他在住我们的家的时候，我们就觉得，哇，这个艺术家很特别，为什么他讲话让我们的心里面很感动？他常常讲的主题都是，给人家盼望，让我们真的是更明白，在黑暗中，有亮光，我们要彼此的鼓励，因为，这个世界是很多的黑暗，很多的创伤。那个时候，因为我们我是从香港来的嘛，所以我不是很熟台湾。Daniel 也是从香港来。然后呢，我们那个时候认识了 Makoto 之后 ，the first person I thought of， 我第一个想到的人就是李嘉士先生，就是我们的编辑里。 Hey guys, please have a seat. 这里还有很多位置可以坐哎。对，不要Angela, Mark, do you want to come and sit over here? Patty, Gloria, 大家都可以坐。There's so many seats, yeah. Because his music, 你这边听会比较，你会真的感受到那个他的那个特别的恩高运行在我们当中。所以因为我那个时候不懂这个艺术，虽然我很爱，然后我也看到谭春生老师、马克头老师的话，我也很喜欢。可是我知道真的懂艺术的人就是我们的 Benjamin Lee 先生。然后呢，然后呢，他也很有爱心。然后我就说，请他拜托他，我说 Benji， 我说我认识一个艺术家，你可以帮我陪伴他，带他去这边的一些的艺廊跟美术馆。所以那个时候，Benji 就 I was telling them about how Benji took you to a lot of the galleries, and then after that, Benji 就跟我说，Jenny， 我有 commission Makoto 帮我的新家做了一幅画。然后我就听了，我就非常的羡慕，然后我就跟我的先生就说，今年的 Christmas 啦、生日啦，你都不要买礼物给我，我也想跟 Benji 一样，我也想订一幅 Makoto 的画，所以后来我们也就成为他的收藏家。然后我们收藏他的画之后，然后我们有很多的朋友啊来到我们家，看到他的画也很喜欢，也开始问，然后但是其实我觉得在整个过程里面，我们真的是。我说马克头老师是我的一个属灵的导师，因为他常常就是要，他分享的都是关于 beauty， 都是关于柔美，都是关于盼望，在然后这样子的彼此扶持、彼此的相爱这样子的一个精神。所以我们在这里真的很多人要谢了，要谢谢 Jessie 跟 Patty， 这次我们很美好的一个 collaboration， 很棒的。这个 collaboration 真的 it's an exceedingly abundant collaboration because 他们不只是有这么美丽的建筑跟这个大楼里面的设备，而且还有 Patty 跟他的团队 Bliss 的这些的花艺跟食物，他们都非常的用心。然后我相信 Patty 跟他团队好几个晚上都可能没有睡好。然后even 你们离开的时候，他们还准备一些的小礼物给你们。So anyways, thank you all for coming. 真的谢谢你们大家礼拜六晚上抽空来，然后我就把麦克风交给马克龙。
Translate or
Oh no.
English is okay?
I think so.
English is okay? Okay.
If not, Angela is here.
Angela is in the back.
假如有人需要翻译，就坐在 Angela 旁边，因为她已经被训练了。
Thank you so much for coming and to this really wonderful, exquisite space. I'm so grateful that we can share in this evening, and you are opening up your living room for us. But I came into this space, and the first feeling I had actually was a very personal one, because I grew up, I was born in Boston, then went to Sweden for a year and a half, and then grew up in Kamakura, Japan, where my father was a research scientist, my mother was an educator, and I remember Kamakura like this. This is surrounded by the hills, and the ocean was nearby, so many of my art reflects aesthetics of Kamakura, which is a 13th century Japanese capital. So I came in and I felt at home, which is wonderful, but for me to have a space where I can to showcase a very large piece like the one downstairs called Song of Songs, And many of the pieces are derived from that, I call it a mother painting, because it's given birth to many offsprings that you see throughout this amazing building. And as important as it is to showcase my work in galleries and museums, I feel it's more of a privilege to be inside a building that is used and people live there. I think art and life has become in a way separated in contemporary times, and I feel like part of the problem that we have in culture is that there are these compartmentalized places where we squeeze things in and they don't connect. So I'm always grateful for places like this. There's a fantastic gallery called Waterfall Mansion in New York City, and Kate Chin, the owner, is known for her developing the Chelsea market, where she brought in, way before this was anything of a paradigm, she brought in Google, Martha Stewart, Food Network, before it was Food Network, and brought everything together where people can come and experience. And then Highline became something that New York decided to develop downtown area. So that is incorporating nature and city. This is a fantastic example of the uniqueness of Taipei, because it's hard to imagine a building like this, let's say in Tokyo. There are no mountains really in Tokyo, or in New York. There are no mountains in New York, or Shanghai, or Beijing. It's very unique to Taipei, and it captures something that I believe is really important for future of cities, which is integration, community, family, that we have kind of disconnected in recent times. So just beautiful. Thank you so much. My art, the Song of Songs, the theme is taken from this ancient text called Song of Songs. And it is actually in the Bible, but it is one of the most, some people mistake it because they say, well, they read it and they say, this isn't the Bible, this is like really explicit, and, but the medieval writers and the early church fathers, especially the monastics who went out in the desert to pray, to get away from the world, and they chose a monastic life. They chose this text, Song of Songs, as their text. So as they are praying to connect the world back to God again, this text that, for example, I'll read you a passage, starts out in a very explicit manner. It starts out, let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. And people wonder, like, what does that have to do with this God of the Bible? And, is this just talking about human love? And it turns out that these monastics believe that the intimacy of God is entirely possible through connection into what Saint Teresa of Avila said is interior castle. That there is a castle inside all of us that we need to connect to, and our souls will not come alive until we realize the splendor of what that interior castle can bring to the world and to ourselves. And so when artists is tapping into that, perhaps, that's why I use a lot of gold gold has always signified to me this divine connection. That's always been the case in different various cultures around the world, except for contemporary art. In contemporary art, when I started to show in New York in the mid-90s, people said we can't use gold because that's just too much of the imperialistic past, of the Western past that we're trying to get away with. And I say, well, actually I'm using gold because the Japanese past. And so I will do these artist talks where I talk about Nihonga, Japanese style paintings, and the history that I was privileged to apprentice myself under for 6.5 years under the most important lineage program that exists in Japan. And to this day, the only outsider ever invited into this system that goes back to 17th century. And so I studied under Matazo Kayama, who is one of the greatest artists of the 20th century. And I was his last two students, one of his last two students. So he used a lot of gold in post-war Japan, where things were very bleak and people were struggling. He began to use very lavish materials, in fact sacrificing his meals so he can buy minerals and gold that was used in 17th century Japan. Very dark times, people are still starving and despair, and people criticized him for doing this. They said, how can you use these extravagant materials when people are starving? And he said, well, because they need more than food. They need beauty. And it was a bold statement to make for somebody who had a lot, you have to make a lot of sacrifices himself. But when you think about it, that what he said is true. Especially when things are dark and people are in despair, they need more than food. Of course, that's the least of what we need. We need roof over our heads. But beauty to the human soul is more than a luxury. It is a necessity to understand how people survive the Holocaust, or people survive any age, like the Black Plague. Fra Angelico was painting when there was 1/3 of Europe was dying. Why would he do that? Because it was necessary. Because it was necessary to feed the soul as well as survive. So to me, Song of Songs represent that extravagance, that part of us that can only be defined by love. And love, when you understand the difficulty of it, is a longing that in some ways can never be quenched, that there's this drive that we have in our hearts that longs for true, authentic love. And that love can only exist in a place where scarcity is replaced by abundance. So it's only in a context of abundance that we can understand the true nature of love. And that's what Songs of Songs is talking about. It is throughout history, from the beginning of time and space. We understand the world through two lenses. One is this Darwinian battle to survive, to get to the next day. But the other is this assumption of abundance, assumption that beauty exists, even though your days may be hard. And the biblical perspective is one of the latter, that there is always abundance. There's always possibility that even though life is hard, that you can, even by faith, imbibe this abundance now, the feast of the banquet now. And so that is constantly the theme of the Bible. And actually, throughout history, people have tested these two ways of, do we live as though we are animals to, determined to win at all costs, or do we assume that there's more to life that is more enduring than just mere survival? And those two are battling even today, right? But if Saint Teresa's right, and if we have these interior castles that are resplendent with beauty, that require nurturing and feeding, that is different from just survival and food, then what kind of food do we need? And so I go back to my teacher and mentor, Matazo Kaiwa Sensei, who insisted on bringing back 17th century splendor into 20th century despair. And because I have experienced in my life challenges such as choosing to live in ground zero of Newton in New York and the southern tip of Manhattan, and all of a sudden that day, 9/11, we became a ground zero family. My children are now ground zero, they're known as ground zero kids who survived that day, and I think because of that, they grew up with certain predisposition toward beauty and community. That's, if you look at their lives right now, they value things that are not just survival, but that are far more important to them because they have experienced ground zero. And so, to me, what Saint Teresa is talking about, what Song of Songs sings about. In fact, I would say that entire history of humanity, entire history of the cosmos actually, can be retold through the lens of a song being sang over us that maybe we can't hear. The mystics call it musica universalis, the music of the spheres. We hear the angels singing, but it's so constant that after we are born into this world, we don't hear it anymore. It's in the background. But sometimes, when you see great art, when you see great theater, and when you hear great music, you hear it again. The music of the spheres that is constantly singing over us. This message of abundance, this message of grace, this message that goes beyond what we think is necessary for us. Let me read to you Song of Songs, passage from the beginning of that. And we have a master musician here among us, Daniel Chan, and we're so grateful for him to be part of it. And this is a beginning of a collaboration. Okay, and I want to do a live painting one day with him because his music is so attuned to what I'm trying to say and my art and the rhythm of my art. Therefore, virgins, love you. Draw me after you. Let us run. The King has brought me into his chambers. We will exalt and rejoice in you. We will extol your love more than wine. Rightly do they love you. here a minute. Let me talk to you about that song. That is, It Is Well With My Soul.
It is well with my soul.
Why did you choose that?
Why did I choose that?
Well, first of all, you chose Lion King.
I chose Lion King. Because we talked about Lion King.
Yes.
And,
I played that the first time.
we were in a conversation at the dinner table, and Michael was mentioning about how, theater is going to be the next trend in the arts. It's almost like a renaissance. It's, you're going to see theater production all over again. And we were just talking about the Lion King, and Michael was giving us some statistics about how it was actually the highest grossing theater production of Disney that's ever produced.
Well, and most people don't realize that Lion King production made $8.1 billion worldwide. So the best grossing movie is, maybe 200 million, 300 million. So we think movies make money in this culture, but it really doesn't. It's live theater. And live theater is viable because of everything we talked about, because we need each other. We need the presence, authenticity, the presence in front of us that we can be immersed in. So we were talking about that. The Lion King is also about scarcity versus abundance. So it's an ideal thing.
Absolutely, and it's Song of Songs. It's the name of the exhibition, and I just don't want to be cheesy and pick a song that nobody knows, but I think it means something to interpret a iconic classic, to incorporate this element with this exhibition, because it's also the Song of Songs, right? Everybody knows "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?" And when the lyrics and the melody, when it hits to kings and vagabonds, and everybody can feel the love. Everybody deserves the love. Just to imagine the beauty of that. It's from vagabonds all the way to kings and queens, and everybody deserves this kind of love. And I just think that "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" is, it really fits Mako's art and the rhythm and the pulse.
It's also Elton John.
And it's also Elton John, which we both really, really like. Love his earrings, by the way. I just really love his earrings. That's a random fun fact. But yeah, it is well with my soul. I think every time when I'm performing, it's really good to remind myself that I'm playing for God, that I'm not playing for myself. I'm playing it to you guys, but the source that really enables me to do all of this, improv, to do all of my education, to just all of the expression is from a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful source, and it's God. And to play it as well with my soul, every time I play it, it's a reminder of who He really is and what I really am, that I am not afraid as an artist to use art to express myself, that there is no shame in every note, because it is well, it is well, it is well with my soul. And I bless you with this wholeness. I bless you with this wellness in the soul, because it's very needed.
The author, the composer of this hymn, faced devastating realities when he wrote this, right?
It was during the period of war, and it was really depressing. Just like the history that Mako was talking about, it was also the fact that why the church is so resilient, because of war and depression, because the church always grows out of depression, out of war. The church is resilient, just like our God, and reflects who He really is. He is resilient, and I think "It Is Well With My Soul" is such a powerful declaration in the air, and even though, what may look like, what may, but it is well with my soul. That subtlety, that power, that deepness, that heaviness, And I just love that song as well.
Yeah, it's one of the most beautiful songs that you can ever play. And so I want to collaborate with you. So
I would love to collaborate with Michael. Look at his paintings, guys. It's unbelievable stuff.
And your music opens the way for that because you tend to set the structure and you break it. And you open up a door, and you walk right through that door, and you kind of meander, and then the structure comes back somehow. How does that work? I was listening, I was trying to figure this out.
Really great question. I am a person of extremes. I navigate between extremes in my daily life. So when I'm in Hong Kong, I'm from Hong Kong, based in Hong Kong. So whenever I'm in Hong Kong, I'm actually working with some of the A-list producers in Hong Kong, which we kind of produced together artists like Eason Chan and Karen Ma, Mo Wenhui, the whole, a lot of these A-list artists in China and Asia. And so that's one extreme of my life. And then the other extreme of my life is that I tour with an experimental music group trio, which is part of the project where I collaborate with a lot of underground electronic musicians, and I play a lot of keyboards and synthesizers, and we do a lot of sound designs, and so that's more avant-garde, and we were just on tour in Munich and Shanghai, and now in Taiwan, so that's another extreme. And then another extreme is that I do a lot of solo piano. I really appreciate the subtlety of solo piano. If theater is going to come back, I think more context of solo piano is also going to come back. It's almost going to be like a renaissance. You're going to be seeing a lot of jazz pianists just doing solo recitals. And so just to give you a little bit of my background, there are so many extremes in my life. And one of the things that I love to incorporate extremes in my music is the dissonance and consonance of music. So when you hear my music, you hear a lot of dissonant chords in the beginning, right? And it's just a really crazy soundscape, right? Because we're so used to the melodies, we're so used to how it's going to be sung, but I just really love putting in really dark, subtle harmonies to reflect the really bright harmonies, which are so similar to your paintings, Michael. I'm so sure you understand what I'm talking about. And so that's one extreme, and I really just like, breaking classic, right? The old, that's an extreme, and putting it a modern twist on it, right? So that's another extreme. So I incorporate a lot of extremes in my art, and that's kind of like my artistry. I would kind of describe it like that.
And part of that journey as a musician today is playing in a place like this, right? I mean, rather than waiting for people to come to you, you go to people's homes and you're able to provide something in the context of these residences.
Absolutely, and I think for artists, we always have to be of service. And I think, we don't really correlate with art and service, but an artist is really, you get to serve, and you get to serve the souls of people. And, I enjoy, just having this privilege as an artist, and to have this bold declaration that, living in this world as an artist is very, very difficult. And especially when, I'm 21 years old, I graduated college early, and, it was all of that, I just really want that to be my declaration that as an artist, you can be of service, and that's the highest privilege that anybody can have, that you're serving people, so you're bringing beauty to their circumstances, whether we know it or not.
So I don't know too many 21-year-olds who can do that and have the kind of depth of thinking that you do. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Speaking of the context of beauty and being able to bring soul back, I want to have Jesse come and talk a little bit about the space, because I think you will be amazed at the conceptual level of what this building represents and in this particular zone.
Thank you, Mark.
I was really moved by the piano and also Marco's speech because I've heard it twice today, but it feels different each time. It actually moved me stronger the second time that I hear it. So instead of talking to you guys, I think about like all the love that gets passed around and shared, and then there's always so many wise words and warmth that just oozes out of them, and just makes me feel so comfortable and at ease with whatever thing that we're doing or discussing or just, you know. And then I think this type of feeling is so rare, you know, coming from, you know, such successful people, and because usually, right, the more successful people, the more armor and shield they put on, and then the less they want to put
survival game, so you have to win.
And then that was that. But then today, after I met Marco and Daniel, and I'm completely moved. I'm like, wow, it's like, so this is what life should really be about. You know, as a kid growing up, all I knew that what I wanted to do was to probably like make a lot of money. Right? My parents always asked me, hey, so what do you want to do when you grow up? I was like, I don't know, make money, you know, right? But then as I grow older, and recently I began to realize it's not just the monetary part that I want to achieve. It's about how, what we can do to give back to the society or to the people that surround you, or, you know, or just people that you employ, or, you know, the things that you do. How do you just make yourself worth something? I think that is the most important lesson I think I've learned in my recent years of career improvement in my life. And then I think it's not about, you know, I always see people donating a lot of money to charity and everything, but then I think, of course, that helps a lot, right? But then I always think that what you guys do as an individual, right, how you guys pass around the love, you know, share, I think that is what motivates people to do the same thing. And then I think once we can get everyone involved that's infected, I think the world will be a better place than it is today.
Absolutely, thank you. And when we were rehearsing, and you know, when you can see the forest around us and the rain around us, actually there was like a sheet of rain, and it was like a curtain that closed and then opened, and the sun came out. I was saying to my friends that this is a very unique acoustics context, because oftentimes a high-rise mansion or whatever, new buildings tend to be very square and, you know, maybe bigger, but this has a very intimate feel. So tell us a little bit about your concept of the shape of this building.
Okay, so if you guys look at the building, you know, obviously it's a irregular shaped building. So actually, if you look at it from the top, it's shaped like a grand piano, actually. So it's actually, so it's round in the front and straight in the back, right? And then how you see the building's facade is there's aluminum sticks with the rock panels, right? So it's actually like the piano's keyboard. So actually, when we started to create this building, it was like an ode to nature, right? So it was like a song of nature that we tried to blend this building in with this mountain, instead of creating like a ultra modern or like a monstrosity, you know, that everyone loves in Taiwan, the PMT concept, right? It's all like yellow limestone and everything, right? But then that would look just weird, right? If you just think about it, this location. So we really tried to put in a lot of work in respect to nature, and all of our building equipments, and then the lightings and everything is like also very, very eco-friendly.
So when I heard that, I was astonished, because, you know, we had already planned to bring my work, Song of Songs, in a building that is shaped like a piano. so I was like, wow, that's perfect, you know, what a. And but really the shape, it really speaks about community, family, It speaks about conversations, and when Daniel was playing, the feel, the acoustic environment that this building creates is very unique, and so I feel like as an artist, it's the right context to showcase what I want to convey and what Daniel wants to convey. And so I want to thank you so much for this evening.
So maybe not just work only with Daniel, but also with us too.
Oh, absolutely. So thank you so much for coming. Ginny, do you want to close us out with?
So I don't know, 7 may seem like a random number, but actually in the Bible, 7 was the number of days it took for God to create the universe. There's 7 days in a week. There's 7 notes in a scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and 8 is the number of new beginnings. So we kind of have gone kind of full circle these 7 years, and it's just been years of grace, years of a lot of support and love and prayers from a lot of people, and I want to especially thank all the Art True staff. There's Kelly, Ellie, and Claire. Claire was the first person who joined the team, and is that where this is it?
Elton.
Oh, and Elton. Where's Elton? I'll wait. Oh, Elton. Okay, I'll wait. I also want to invite Angela to come because she is our. Angela was the first person who came with me to Tokyo to see Makoto-san, and that was before we started the company. And at that time, we stayed at the Peninsula Hotel in Tokyo, and we went to visit Makoto's 就是做颜料的那个店。我们一起去日本去看那些颜料店。Anyways， 真的大家都是好朋友，我也没有什么特别，只是真的要谢谢大家的鼓励，谢谢大家一直这7年。这个旅程，那我刚刚有在讲，就是七天，就是7是一个完美的数字，在圣经里面。然后I guess 最重要有一个人，除了要谢谢马库桑，这么多年，7 years we've been walking together。真的是。It was really, I really think you are a man of faith because 我们那个时候跟他合作的时候，我说我是没有经验的，我是不懂，可是我愿意学习，我愿意试试看。I was saying how you knew that we didn't know, much and we didn't know how, but that we were just willing to serve because we knew that there was such an amazing gift in your life. There's such an amazing anointing and just really touched our hearts, just like you said. And so we really learned a lot from Makoto-san. And then I guess the most important person I have to thank is, ta-da, Mr. Concha! And I want to thank him because he was supportive. There are days when we have very tight cash flow, and he's the one who we go to. So he's my CFO. We have very different giftings. 我们非常不一样，我们完全是可以说是互补。So anyways, we just want to. This cake is so beautiful. Wow, it's so interesting. 这个蛋糕好美啊。I have to see this cake. Can we cut it? What should we do? Should we sing happy birthday? I don't know. Okay, happy birthday. 那你要不要来？然后我们
们也请 Jessie 跟 Patty 一起来吧，我们一起来切这个蛋糕，来庆祝我们这次很圆满的一个这个合作。然后我们要不要请 Daniel 来帮我们弹 Happy Birthday？ 好。And Marco-san, come. At least we take a picture with the cake, right? Yeah. At least take a picture with the cake.
Marco, why don't you hold it in the middle?
Why don't you be in the middle?
Yeah, so we
Yes, okay, two couples in front of the cake. Okay.
There we go.
Kristen.
Which camera?
Well, let's look at the professional.
Which one? Too many.
They all look very professional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, smile. Okay. Okay.
好，前缘。
你要来吗？
确定。
All right.
放大一点，对。
Yeah, Kristen.
Okay, thank you. Do we sing?
All right, you guys ready?
Okay.
Happy
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Archie. Happy birthday to you.
Come closer. Angela. Come on, Mark. Where's Mark? Yeah. Everybody, actually, let's start hiding.
Hey, Mom, hey, Tina.
It's your job to cut the cake.
好，最后要稍微垫脚尖哦，最后一位，对，好。年轻人先来 ，OK， 来，等一下哦。好，来下一个来，1、2、3，来这一张哦。
他刚说年轻的。
OK， 谢谢。
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think there's still more room, and then 我们可以一起切那个蛋糕，请大家帮我们。好，谢谢。Thank you.
I'm interested in doing that. Platinum. It's silver there. That would come. Yeah, it's called Tasogane. Tasogane is like this kind of thing, disappearing. So that's why it's well,
whatever is it.
That's great.
Transition to sales. Master of sales. But I was telling you, it's such an opportunity to even allow people to experience that. Most people never come back and do this nice model. They don't even know what it is. They need to do their limits.
Yeah.